Welcome to the Rev It Up Racing Show. You can find 4-cylinders, mini stocks, factory stocks, sportsmen, modifieds, winged and non-winged sprint cars, limited late models, and all your racing information here at revitupracing.net. The Rev It Up Racing Show is brought to you by Luca Mariano. Luca Mariano is your family-selected whiskey and bourbon that goes very well at post-race campfires and any activity you choose to share it at. Now, here is your Rev It Up Racing host, Jay Houselander.
Good evening. This is Blake Rowe here. Can you hear me now, Blake?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I apologize. Something was going wrong there.
How big?
Thank you. Thank you for waiting almost 20 minutes. So we are live. So first thing in all, everybody, I apologize for the inconvenience. But we're here now with Blake Rowe, the Hotshoe 100 winner. Congrats on your win and taking home a $10,024 payday. How was that, Blake?
It was great, man. We work all summer to run shows like this, and it was nice to bring one of them home. We ran really good at Bearfield for the Crown Jewel and came up short at both the shows there. So we worked for like 5 weeks to get the car back together and where we wanted it, and it paid off.
And you came into the Hotshoe a couple of days before, preparing and working on the car for probably one of the biggest mod races in the Midwest, if North America, on Thursday and Friday. When you popped that balloon on the straightaway, that orange balloon, and picked that bicycle, can you talk a little bit about that and what it felt like on the front stretch at Kinross?
Yeah, man. It takes a little luck to win shows like this. You don't just drive through a field of cars like that. Every one of the 24 cars that started that event could have won it, especially pulling a starting position like I did. But I knew we had a really good race car. I didn't know how to approach the show. We hadn't been to Kinross prior to the weekend, so it takes a little bit to figure out how to race a track like that and what's it really going to take to pass and get through a field of cars. So starting out front and knowing we had the speed to run out there, it really just felt good and took a load off. We had to dice our way through some lap traffic, but other than that, it really kept the car clean and let me conserve tires for a long time.
And one thing, I talked to somebody today. They sent me a message asking why you rode, like, say, up to lap 79 before there was even a caution, and the B main went for probably felt like forever for you guys waiting to get on the track. But was it the last 21 laps you were running high? Was that because of more of the traffic or just the Kinross Speed Park?
Yeah, I mean, the place, when you get a good field of cars like that, it kind of stretches out, and it's just wide enough to run about a groove and a half, so you're not going to get a bunch of side-by-side racing. But it certainly took rubber throughout the weekend, and the groove moved around. I think the B main and some of the stock cars had drug a little bit of dirt out on the track, but as we had made a bunch of laps and everyone settled in, I think the place cleaned out and kind of widened up there a minute. But it was just really for us all about keeping a good lead against DG, and for me, just making sure I hit my marks and kept the tires underneath it. It's at the end of a show like that, it's so easy to spin the tires, and it was only going to take one mistake for me to let DG strike.
And that's one thing I was like, say, after we're done here, I'll post this again on Facebook, and I got the video of you popping that balloon, and I think your smile was, if it could go past ear to ear, it probably was. And yeah, I've never seen someone so excited to, pop a balloon, right?
Yeah. We a lot of these shows work like that. They try to shuffle it up and do something cool, and it's really nice that they get some kids involved in it and things like that. And there's not a perfect system to any of it, whether we do a straight up invert or the draw, whether it's out of a hat, or I think last year they did chips on bikes and let the kids pick them. And like I said, it just takes a little luck, man. So all I wanted to do was get somewhere safe, and I couldn't believe it. I looked down and I could see the paper was folded up, and you could kind of see it was a Sharpie through like orange, so it kind of bled through. And at first I thought it was a 7 because whoever wrote the 1 out, it was kind of fancy and it had a little tail on the end of it. So I was a little bummed at first, and I saw the 1. I'm like, oh shoot, it's a 10. And I had to keep looking to really get get myself convinced that we had drew the 1. But yeah, it worked out.
And then with that green, like I said, the green flag flying to lap 79, and like again, fans couldn't believe that it went to 79 laps before a caution came out. You're almost about half a lap ahead through to like to say lap traffic. What were you thinking going into like say that caution, knowing that you had that much of a lead on the guy behind you?
Yeah, it was now what we wanted to see because by about halfway with as stretched out as it got, I thought we were going the distance. So I just wanted to keep putting them down, and I didn't feel like I was all that good through lap traffic, and I really didn't know how good Derek was. So I just certainly wanted to keep as many lap cars between us as we could in case if I had wore my stuff out or whatever. But when the caution come out, we were chatting back and forth over the radio, and when they told me how big of a lead I really had gotten out to, I was just kind of at that point worried that I burned my stuff up doing it. But, it was just an attrition deal. We built a lot of long run speed into the car throughout the weekend, and we've been working on that all summer. So I know our car's always good on the long haul like that, but it's so easy to burn the tires up in a 100-lap quarter-mile show. So it was concerning. Was really the big deal to see a caution come out like that, a self spin, and fortunately no cars were tore up, but it was kind of hard to believe we could go that long and then something little like that happened.
And mostly again, you guys sat so long because of the B main took so long because of the accidents and then the emergency with a spectator and stuff like that, and that must mentally affect you guys getting ready for the race, doesn't it?
Yeah, we were in the sun all weekend, although it wasn't that hot. The track did have a little temp in it all weekend. We qualified in the heat. Even our dash was, the sun was just setting. So I didn't really know what to expect out of the racetrack. And we were just watching the B main cars, trying to kind of get a feel on where the track was going, seeing if if a bunch of cars tightened up or not. And yeah, between that race ran really long, the stock car races ran really long. We'd been out of the cars since final practice. It was, I think we were done at like 3, and then we weren't even back in the cars. And I don't even know what hour we started the race. That was probably 11. And, they weren't certain whether we were going to do the autograph session or not. So I got in and strapped in, and my radio's in, and, they kind of did a last minute, deal for a meet and greet, which was cool. But, I was kind of in and settled and then back out and walking around and chatting with everyone again. So it's kind of hard to get settled in like that, but it was all right.
And it's something you came up to Ken Ross again for the Hotshoe. It goes to charity, but that 10,024 payday, hoping that you were going to win. But again, you never know because the talent and the drivers and the cars that are up there. But what went through your mind when you more or less raised that $10,000 check?
It's relieving, man. We've got a lot of really great partners that help us, fund this deal, but, we're certainly not racing for profit. And, we've done pretty well this summer as far as, we went and run well at, some bigger money shows. So it certainly helps the racing budget out. And we're going to get to race a whole lot of more shows that maybe in the past or, maybe otherwise we wouldn't have thought to go to. It's just going to kind of open up some doors for us and give us a couple more options. It's just a relief. We lose, we spend a lot of money doing this, but it is nice to go home and know that we did pretty well on the weekend.
And that's the biggest thing is there's not too many short track racers. Doesn't matter if it's dirt, asphalt, not mini wedges. I mean, the carts. Doesn't matter what type of short track it is. You're not doing it for the money, right?
No, absolutely not. I mean, and even this summer we've, there's a couple really good paying shows that, we've went and run and fortunately ran well at. And, but in years past, it kind of felt like we were going to race for the money, and, you kind of get wrapped up in it throughout the weekend, and it raises the stress. But, we camped this weekend. We don't normally camp at the racetrack. We generally do the hotels and try to get away, but we kind of spent the weekend at the racetrack and hung out with a lot of friends. And, I had a ton of family there. So I just, I don't think, any of our heads were in it for the money this weekend. We were just really enjoying ourselves. And, it wasn't until about 15 or, it was like basically the restart when we took back off, and it like dawned on me, and it kind of freaked me out for, a little bit. I think I really gave up a little bit of speed on the track. Cause all I could think was, man, if I make a mistake, I just, it's like a $5,000 mistake, right? If I let DG by here and, but you can't really think about the money when you're there for the weekend. It's no different. You can't act like it's any different than, your standard weekend race, and just go there and work hard at it and make sure the car is the best we can make it.
And it's something that for Brian Nestor, it's been 6 years. First 5 years of Whittemore, he got four of the wins, and Whittemore did a great job with the event, but it had to move just because of size. It went from 106 cars this year, but from 85 campers to over 240 campers. And were you part of that? With Nestor winning 4 of the last 5, were you part of that Nestor karaoke crew at all this weekend?
No, I really like racing with Brian, and I trust that there's nothing goofy going on. I mean, there's he's good. He's one of the best. And, he's had, just like I had this year, really good luck at draws. I think he started on the pole last year, and, we had drew like a 12 or something. And, for a 100-lap race, that stuff don't matter, man. We drove up through the field and we were racing Brian by like lap 40 or 50. So I had actually joked with Brian. I was talking to Bud Gray before we went out for the, to draw our spots. And he had kind of made the comment, not that he's as good a friend as anybody with Brian, but he had joked, man, I hope Brian doesn't get the 1, because, now you're just opening up doors to all sorts of rumors and this and that. And he said, swap Brian's shoes. He's got lucky shoes. So I was standing there next to Brian when we were waiting to pull. I said, hey, Brian, I'll swap you one shoe for the other. And when I wound up drawing the 1, and, after the race, he had come up and said, looks like you got the lucky shoes now. So that was kind of fun. I mean, I enjoy racing with all these guys. They're all super great people, and they do it for the fun.
And that's exactly it. Like I said to Kim Gray when we were waiting for you guys to come out on the front stretch, I said, well, Kim, what are you going to do if Brian pulls the 1 again? She just shook her head. And you guys are all good friends, and that goes back to like talking to Joanne Brooks and Jerry Linscomb and Bud Gray and all that, and they were over at Nestor's trailer to 4 or 5 in the morning both nights. Mm-hmm. And it's something. It's a family thing. Again, you can joke with each other and bug each other, but when it comes down to it, when you get on the track, you race, but when you get back off, you're friends again, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Brian builds a lot of the cars that race with us. I mean, he had, they kind of, they're kind of travel in a group, which rightfully so, they all help each other out. And, but we don't run any Nestor stuff. We never have. And, so he's just a competitor of ours, really. But, he stepped up and helped us out. He had some parts, he sells parts at the racetrack, but he had some parts that we wound up needing at Bear Field and sold them to us. He, not that he had to do that, not that he wouldn't, but, everyone's here to help each other out, man. When we got tore up down there, we had more competitors that I had never even known. I mean, we raced with a lot of guys down south that I had never seen before, never knew nothing about them, stepped up and wanted to help and offered parts and this and that. And that's the racing community. I mean, everyone's good buddies. You have to be, or else you're just going to drive yourself mad. We see each other almost every weekend throughout the summer, and, wind up by accident or on purpose at some points running through people. And if you get all caught up in the drama of it, you're just going to take the fun right out of
it. Exactly. And like I say, talking about Nestor is he built the car for Kenny Wallace, who ran the race. And like I said, Kenny does that now on the weekends, different tracks, a lot of dirt, some asphalt. And again, a lot of people I've talked to in the interviews I did leading up to the Hotshoe said Kenny wasn't just another driver. And that's what they said. But now with that $10,024 payday, you can actually say you beat a NASCAR driver, right?
Yeah, it's fun. I look at it the same way, you just said. He's another race car driver, man. He enjoys it. It's really cool to see him supporting the short track stuff like he does. But he's another race car driver, and it's fun to say he's in the field with us. I grew up racing with Eric Jones, and through the quarter midget levels. Vinnie Miller's another one I raced with for a long time. All good friends growing up throughout the years. And, Kenny had got up during the drivers meeting and had even mentioned, don't get the chip on your shoulder. You didn't make NASCAR. Who cares? There's thousands of short track drivers throughout the country that'll never make it, never have the sight to it. And that don't matter, man. We're all race car drivers. Kenny's supporting the short track stuff. He's having a blast with it, and that's cool to see. And it was fun to have him up there this weekend. He's a good, he's a good person to have support in a race like that. And, Brian and everyone that made that deal happen for him and for, the Grays to get him up there. That was really cool to see.
And that's what I said to Kenny. I asked him, I did an interview with him for Rev It Up Racing. And I said, are you coming back next year? And he laughs. And I think we all learned his sense of humor over the weekend. And he goes, if they allow me to, and if they want me to. Yeah. And it's something, he just mingled through the crowd. He stayed by his trailer, but when people came over, it didn't bug him. Mm-hmm. And during the drivers' meeting, I was there, and that little bit of motivational speech to everybody, it's just showing that, again, going back to racing is just a big family, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got to spend all summer with each other, so it really turns into it.
And it's something like just before the B meeting, I came down off the tower from filming, and I went into the trailer, and you were just getting ready. I wasn't looking for you. I was looking for somebody to talk to. And I was talking to your mom and told her that you won the poll we did and asked the size T-shirt and stuff. And I said about a photo. I said, what photo would you like so we can give to him? And she jokingly said, and she wasn't being, how do you say it, cocky, I guess you say. She goes, yeah. I really like the one with the checkered. And what mother or father or crew wouldn't want to say that? And it's something, yeah. I don't know if that helped you or if that, I thought, well, maybe that's going to curse him, but I guess mom's advice did help.
Yeah, that's funny. She didn't tell me that, but, I get a little intense on race weekends. There's no question about that. I wasn't confident that we had the race car to win it. Going into the night, we had tested all day. We qualified good and won the dash, but I really was not comfortable with how the race car was driving and didn't feel like it was going to be a car that was going to last for 100 laps. So, we really sat on it and pondered on it over Friday night and wound up getting in Saturday morning, made a whole bunch of changes, went through the car, actually found a couple things that we weren't happy with that we missed in the shop. And the car didn't respond. It felt like we were stuck in a state where we were at, which was fine because the car had plenty of speed. We wanted to believe in a couple of the adjustments in it. And I really do think that it helped when the night fell. But if somebody would have joked with me prior to the race or had told me prior to the race, you'll lead all 100, I probably would have told them, we'll probably fight our way through the top 5, but that's about it.
And that's going back to, like, say, that's his mom's confidence, right? Mm-hmm. She wants her son, she wants her baby to, and like I say, I saw you standing there where you guys were getting ready for the race and that, and like I say, it doesn't matter what sport. I know athletes just don't want to be, and again, I played mm-hmm. years ago, but don't want to be talked to, so that's why I walked past, and someone said, there's his mom, so I was talking to her, and she's like, yeah, she was just not confident, but being a mom saying, oh yeah, he's going to take that checkered, and yeah, at 79, I think, okay, he's got it, and then up on the tower, we're like, a couple people who weren't spotting went, oh, like, again, you're so far ahead. So mm-hmm. I could just imagine mom's face on the checkered there at the end when she gave you that big hug.
Yeah. I think we were all a little bit in shock afterwards, and I really don't know that it really settled right away. I mean, we've raced for a long time. I started when I was 6, so I've been fortunate to win a lot of shows throughout the years, and like I said, we can't go into it thinking it's anything other than just a race weekend. So it took a while to settle in when we were back at the camper, and we had the trophy and the big the big check sitting there next to the camper, and it was kind of like it kind of started to settle then, and it was pretty cool then. Not that it wasn't at the moment, but I had raced DG at the Hotshoe last year. We were running like 3rd and 4th at the time. And it was the same situation, other than we weren't leading. We were each racing each other through lap traffic, and I had kind of burned my stuff up throughout the show. And he wound up getting around me, and we were dicing up around a lap car, and he wound up getting through the lapper quicker than I did with like 4 to go. So that big lead I had was kind of just in fear of what had happened the year before. And he got a really good restart there at the end. I just wasn't certain that. I didn't know what to think when we took the green. He stuck to my door there for like a lap and a half, and that's just, like I said, Ken Ross is kind of a narrow place. It's like a groove and a half. It's just not quite wide enough to run door to door. And when he was able to hang with me for like the first lap, I really wasn't certain what to think. But it was pretty cool to get to race with somebody like that is not going to wear you out for it.
And something I know it was for charity and then the 10,024, but what brings you to the Hotshoe every year?
It's the tough competition. The Grays work really hard at it. We like to go and support shows that, we know are going to be organized, and everyone's putting their best foot forward at it. But we like to go race where there's really, really good competition. So that's what we've tried to focus on all summer, and that's what we're going to continue to do for the remainder of it. But racing with guys like Derek, he came up from Florida. Cody Strickler came up from Florida. Racing with guys like Travis Eddy. I mean, he's the perfect example of how tough this competition is. He's a guy. He won $10,000 down at Bearfield a month ago, and he didn't make the show this weekend. 2 years ago, well, I guess I'll step back. 3 years ago, we went up. We didn't go on Thursday or Friday. We went up on race day, practiced for like 3 sessions, qualified second, and I think we finished second that year. We went back the year following with a new race car, qualified 25th. We missed it by like hardly nothing, ran the B, and we wound up like 5th in the B. So you can go from being right on top to running with cars that you wouldn't have imagined. But when you get a field as good as the Hotshoe does, it's just anything can happen like that.
And that's exactly it. We were talking up in the tower just before it started with a few of the spotters and that, and like I use Travis Eddy as a prime example. We talked about is usually a month ago we saw him, in Indiana win the 10,000, and then it doesn't even make it again. And not saying him driving, but just one little thing happens and you don't make it, and it shows you how big this event's getting every year and how tough the competition is coming to, like say, Kinross and the Hotshoe event, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna get, even without kind of the event's got its prestige at this point. And everyone everyone in the modified community knows it's the race to go to if you want to be with the best race cars in the country. But anytime, I mean, they're paying $1,000 to even start the show. That's as good as most invites do it, on a regular basis, to win it. So anytime you got the opportunity to race for that money, you're going to get the best race cars. And then you add on top of that, all the things you get to do throughout the week. Plenty of time to get acclimated to the racetrack, camping. I mean, all that. They're doing it right. They're getting every aspect of it, and they're going to get the best race cars. That's why we like to go.
And you Michigan drivers are not complaining that it's in your state, right?
No, it's nice. I mean, it is a little bit of a hike. We're from, southeast side of the state. So
you guys you lower Michigan people just don't like to go to the UP, I think what it is.
Well, I had never been. This was my first time across the bridge. So, I kind of enjoyed that, but it's a hike. Even for us, it was 5 hours, which is no big deal. We drive 5 hours to Indianapolis and Bearfield, and doesn't bother us any. But, when you consider it, when we passed the Whittemore exit, it was kind of like 2 hours further, right? But, and I really wasn't certain what to think. I was kind of afraid that it was going to really knock the car count down a bunch. And we didn't see quite as many cars this year, but it didn't take away from the quality of the race cars we saw. And I think that's as important as anything. But once we got there, I mean, the facility is just about perfect for it. If it wasn't for the fact that it was so dry up there and the dust was kind of rough,
the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, it was certainly that. We got parked in a good spot. Our race trailer did. Our camper was in a pretty dusty spot, but our race trailer was in a pretty good spot, and we could watch as the wind would blow, it'd kick up off the horse track, and we could watch it just blow in the backside of people's trailers, and we were sitting there thinking like, man, I'm glad that's not us, because it was a little dusty, that's for sure.
And the thing is, with me being there every other week to cover the events and that, it's something they know, because 3 weeks ago they were putting the final pit slabs in. Mm-hmm. So we start moving the dirt and everything around. Like I say, not complaining that we haven't had rain, but on the other hand, with no rain, it just created so much. That's what I know. Talk throughout the week going for next year's. That's probably one of their top things, is they're going to want to do something to do that, because again, it's when you're working on the cars, or even when you're working on the engines, there was a lot of dust. But if that's the only thing that people complained about this weekend, I can't complain about the event for sure.
No. I mean, they clearly put in all the effort they could to make it the best they could. Tons of new pit slabs. They put in, kind of the access road from entry to exit of the track. They worked at it. There's nothing they can do about the lack of rain, and we'd certainly rather see a little dust than, it pour on us all weekend.
Like last year, the downpour.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And we chased rain at Bearfield too this year. So it was nice to just not have to worry about it. The weather was like perfect, man. It's like 85 and muggy down here, and going up and kind of hanging out in jean and hoodie weather was really nice.
And then, and race during the day when it was about just 75 to 80. So for you guys sitting in the cars, you weren't dying of heat like it's been part of the summer, right?
Right. I actually put my water in the car before the race. I don't even think I touched it throughout the show. I mean, we only had one caution to get a hold of it anyways, but I know for both of the races, at the Crown Jewel, I drank it all by like lap 50. It was just hot, but it's pretty nice. Without having the windshields and all that, nights like that are just perfect.
And you talk about being in the Midwest, probably another month and a half, say 2 months with you in Lower Michigan. What are your plans for the rest of 2019?
I think we're going to go ahead and hit a couple of the Owasso shows. I really like that place. It's where I started stock car racing. So they've got, their nationals at the end of September, and I think they got a couple tune-ups before that. So we'll probably go and run around there. And I'd like to go down to Sandusky. They got their cavalcade. It's like a 100 lap, 5,000 to win show, first weekend of October. So we'll see about that. I've never been down there, so we'll have to check it out for sure. I'm not really sure. We're just going to kind of play it by ear. We generally kind of just bounce around and do our own thing at the end of the summers.
And again, with I say the payday, it helps a bit. It takes a little bit of pressure off, maybe adding a race or two to the schedule, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, local shows that they get the competition, but they're not going to, you're not going to walk out of there making a whole bunch of money or nothing like that. I'm in school right now, so it kind of makes it hard to go racing every weekend. We kind of try to do an every other weekend schedule or something like that. So yeah, the payday makes it nice. We can go race and not have to worry about, budgeting for the rest of the summer, I guess.
And it's something they haven't said yet, but I'm hoping and guessing it's coming back to Kinross next year. They haven't announced it officially, but are you going to be wherever it is? But hopefully it's at Kinross. You can come back in 2020 to defend your title.
Yeah, absolutely. Barring any crazy incidents, but prior to, we'll be there for sure. We work really hard at making sure that we're ready for it. We generally take a week or two off even prior to just go and find, kind of fine tune on the car and just make sure everything's right. So we'll be there for sure. I don't care where it's at. We'll make the haul. So, it sounds like there'll be kind of, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like there'll be a lot of really good modified racing again next summer. I couldn't believe how many big money shows we had this summer. And from what I'm hearing, every one of them are coming back. And, rumors have been flying of a few more yet. So that'll be really fun.
And it's something and not including this weekend, of course, who helps you get to the track when it comes to support, whether it's family or sponsors?
My dad, man, he works so hard at it. Throughout the winters and summers, it's like a second job really for him. I work at it as much as I can, but I'm not even home 6 months out of the year. So that makes it a little more difficult. So he works extremely hard at it. Of course, my mom and, all my siblings, they're super supportive of it all. All of our sponsors, they really make it easy on us to go race and have some fun in the summer. Doug DeGarmo's jumped on board big time this summer, and he's really taken on a lot of the mechanical stuff with the race car and the engine and the drivetrain. And it takes a small village to really get it right. And that's what we've had this summer. We've had so much support, and just we've got the right people right now to work on the stuff, and really great partners that want to make they're as passionate about it as we are, so that makes it easy. And when it's going this well, everyone's really, they're really supportive, and they want to keep working at it and keep making it better. So that's what we're going to do. And it's a good position to be in at the tail end of the summer, because it makes the off season that much easier. It makes us more driven to, improve on the car and work on it, make it better, and, be better for the next summer coming.
And it's something I just seen is when you're talking with your hands, and as kids, they get an autograph and it's on their skin. They don't want to wash it off. Is you just don't want to take that Kinross band off yet? Is that just something that,
it's still on here. I actually I have a pin on my wall at home, and I pin all the nights that we win. I pin them up, and I've not been home, so I'll have to wear it the remainder of the week. I'll pin it up Friday afternoon.
I thought it was just maybe a memento you're going to wear it until it wears out, just because how special the weekend was.
I'll do something special with it, man. We've got the big check, and we'll probably even save the little one. Maybe frame this up. I don't know. We'll do something, but we've got the flag that they made for us, and that's the thing. They do so much little stuff that really adds up, and it's so special. And a win like this is just not something that a lot of race car drivers will ever get the opportunity to have. So we all definitely want to make the most of it.
And that's exactly it. And I go back, and you say every other weekend, I call it, a lot of times in racing they don't say it, but I say weekend warriors. Is a lot of times you might be able, depending on the race, like you say Bear or Hotshoe, stuff like that, you go a few days in advance, but a lot of tracks you show up that morning, if not the night before, depending how far it is. You do it for the weekend, you head home Sunday. So it's a weekend warrior event. So when it's something like this, it makes it even more special, right?
Yeah, we enjoyed it. I mean, we made it a little vacation. We wound up renting a camper, and we went up Wednesday morning, hung out in Mackinac for the morning, got some lunch, hung out by the bridge, took pictures, all that jazz. And once we got across the bridge, set up and hung out. And like I said, we had some really good friends around. So it wasn't just racing for us this weekend. We really just spent some time with friends and family, and enjoyed it the most we could. But a lot of the racing that we do is just the weekend warrior stuff. Owasso, Dixie, places like that are real close. I mean, they're both like an hour from us. So it makes it really easy to go on a Friday or a Saturday night and enjoy it and get home and clean up and go back to work throughout the week.
And like you just mentioned Owasso, and that brings up about the Hotshoes. They were a track that usually runs this weekend every year, and they changed their schedule because of the Hotshoe realizing on how many drivers are going up. Mm-hmm. So tracks, Owasso being, I'd say 3.5 hours down from Kinross, are working with, I don't mean the grades, but working because and supporting the event because they don't want to compete against that type of event. So it's helping you guys in Lower Michigan also, right?
Yeah, they not that their hand is forced at all, but they've really got to for themselves too. I just don't know, if Owasso would run this weekend, who they would have got to come up there. Everyone, that really wants to, modified race. They were up in the UP with us. But an event like that, nobody wants to step on their toes. They want to, everyone wants to do their part to make it right. And I had seen that Owasso wound up pulling the weekend and moving it somewhere else. I don't know what they wound up doing with it, but that was kind of cool to see. They're helping each other out.
And that's going back again. Only so many drivers, not just in Michigan, in the Midwest, when it comes to mods or four cylinders, doesn't matter. There's only so many out there. So again, there's no use of competing against each other, right?
Right. I mean, I think we had 52 or 6 or something like that mods this weekend, and as much as I wish we could say we could get 50 mods at every racetrack every weekend, that's just not the case. So I know it definitely pulled a lot of car count from what would have been Owasso or Dixie or heck, I even think some Berlin cars were up this weekend. So it really is in everyone's best interest to not step on each other's toes or schedule on the same night, or you'll definitely get on your regular race, and you're going to have 1 or 2 or 3 tracks racing a weekend. Summer's only so long, but for an event like this, they've all got to do their part. And hopefully places like Owasso or I know Dixie's going to do another or attempt another big invite next year. Hopefully all the other racetracks would respect that too and give them the same courtesy.
And second last question is, when it comes to racing, it's word of mouth that promotes events, and it's something. Would you say to other drivers that weren't at the event, to encourage them to come next year? What would you say?
I mean, you got to do it. It's a blast, and I don't know if it's maybe the competition scares people away. Guys that might not feel super comfortable that they'll make the A. it don't matter. I mean, the B pays better than most invites ever would. Even when the C runs, they wind up making, as good of money as you would on any local night. It's a really fun weekend. The Grays do everything they can to make every detail right. Bud works his tail off to make sure the cars are on a level playing field, and that's really nice to see. Some weekends it's just it kind of gets old to see some stuff let under the radar, and Bud's just not like that. He makes sure everything is straight up, and it's good hard racing when it comes right down to it. And if it goes back to Ken Ross, the place is an awesome facility. I couldn't believe how many people they had in there. I really wasn't certain how many fans they'd draw, just considering the location. But that place was packed, so that was really cool to see too.
And I use, when it comes to tech and stuff like that, and Bud, no, I'm saying, isn't on right now, but he'll probably watch it, is you don't usually see Bud Gray lying on the ground. So when you see Bud climbing on the cars and checking everything, you know how serious it is, and how serious he does take his role and what he does, other than what you don't see, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been working on tech stuff I'm sure he's been doing it, all summer, thinking about it. But, he posted a video probably a month ago, walking guys through what he expects. Obviously, the rule book's published and everyone knows it, but, there's always gray areas people try to work their way around. So Bud makes it as clear as he can before we ever even show. And he's walking around looking at cars and making sure everything's right from the day they unload. He was under our car Thursday, Friday, and then obviously when we rolled pre-race tech and afterwards Saturday, our stuff's always straight up, but it's been so long since our car's been scrutinized that heavily. It's kind of stressful, but it's the way it really should be on any weekly night. So it's what you like to see.
And that goes what people don't see is from Kim Gray, for instance. She's been there starting the summer 3 to 4 days a week, just helping the Kinross volunteers get ready for the event. So again, a lot of the drivers don't see that, and the fans don't see that. And to put that type of event on anywhere, it takes a lot. And I said to Kim, so when are you going home? She goes, I'm going home Monday. And she goes, probably mid-September, starting October, they'll be getting ready for 2020. And that just helps you guys, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that place, what surprised me the most about it, it's run by volunteers, but it's a first-class facility. We race at a lot of racetracks where it's not people's priority, and it shows. The places show their wear and tear. The facility does itself, but that just wasn't the case at Ken Ross this weekend. There's a lot of really great facilities in Michigan, and I would definitely rank this one right up there with the Berlins or the Birch Runs or anything like that. And those places have full-time employees or people that work there on a salary every night, and that just is super impressive to me that volunteers can be as organized as they are and make such an effect on that racetrack.
Did you take in the band at all this weekend?
No, we're not late night people, man. We
you're so young. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I guess. Well, I guess my co-op kind of drag. Working at 7 and up by 5. That's about wrecks my social life and my sleep schedule. So it was kind of funny. Dad is not a late night person, so we were all kind of in bed by 10 and in the camper, and people are out enjoying their night by the bonfire or whatever, and he's kind of griping and this and that. And it's like, Dad, we got a camper, man. We're 3 feet from the people over, enjoying a campfire. What can you expect, man? But we didn't go and see the band. We probably should have, but it certainly looked like they had a pretty sweet setup there when I went over in the grandstands and watched some of the stock car races.
So were you anywhere near Nestor's trailer?
Camper wise, we were kind of kitty corner to them. I actually didn't realize where they were at until we were pulling out, but I'm almost certain that's where we had heard a little bit of the noise.
Well, he pulled the karaoke machine out, I know, Friday night, and they shut it down at 5:10 Saturday morning.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
and then he drove that day. So
yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. I'm sure that was probably to our benefit, but yeah, that's all right.
Well, Blake, I can't thank you enough for taking the time tonight, and I apologize about the technical difficulties, but hopefully we can do this next year after the Hotshoe.
Yeah, of course, man. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you very much. And I'd just like to remind everybody that Luca Mariano is our show sponsor, and check out the bourbon whiskey at lucamariano.com. Thank you, Blake.
Thanks. See ya.